presentation is over child abuse education. It's my community assessment project for my community health class. So why child abuse education? This is a personal topic for me because as a child, me and my siblings were abused and neglected by our parents, and no one was there to stand up for us or told us what we were living through was not right. So as you know, this past March, my son was abused by his dad, and he didn't understand either that it was wrong, and he thought he was gonna get into more trouble if he told me. He thought I was gonna beat him just like his dad did. So it was 4 days before I found out about it. And during that whole time, he was worried that he was gonna get into even more trouble. And the whole time he had bruises and whelps on his behind and he could barely sit down. And there's signs and symptoms or whatever to look for, but he was just coming home and sleeping on the couch, and he does that from time to time. I didn't think anything of it, but he never said anything to me. I found out because his brother saw it and told me. But had he known what was wrong, he could have called me or got away from his dad, because this happened on a Friday and he's with his dad Friday through Sunday, so he literally had to sit there with him all weekend, scared to death. So even after I found out, I had no idea what to do. And working at the hospital, when we see abused kids come in, they know what to do. They know who to call, the cops, CPS and all that. But when it happens to you, it's like, oh my gosh, you're like in shock. You don't know where to go first. And like, he wasn't bleeding or anything, so I was like, that's not an ER situation. So I just made an appointment for the clinic this was on a Sunday. So the next Monday we went to the clinic, and then they were just like, why didn't you call the cops first? Like questioning me, and I was like, I didn't know. So it was just like, and it's even in the reports and stuff that like, I didn't go to the cops first. Well, I had no idea. So if people knew more about child abuse and where to go, it might help them out, and maybe they'd be more likely to report it. So the brochure, like I said, if someone isn't familiar with abuse, they don't know who to report it to or what even is reportable. And I'd ask you during the questionnaire that I gave you guys about staff recognizing the signs and symptoms of abuse, and you answered yes, and that everyone's a mandatory reporter. But like many parents like myself, you don't know where to go, and even in a few months I'll be a mandatory reporter, and I still really don't know. I mean, they'll teach me, I'm sure, at the hospital exactly the steps and what all, but I don't think the general population, like, they don't think they're ever gonna have to worry about it, so they don't pay attention. I never thought I was gonna have to worry about it, so.
Agree with that, you're right.
We actually hope you don't have to.
Yeah, but like, everybody always says, oh, there's mandatory reporters, but it's like, what do you report to? You know? But it would also be beneficial for the kids and parents to know what signs to look for as well, like being tired and not eating and being withdrawn from their things, from their normal everyday activities. And like when I was growing up, my sister was the main target of the abuse, and me and my brother, like I was in first grade, so he was in kindergarten, and she was 6 years older than us, so we just thought she was in really bad trouble. We didn't know, and like had we known, we could have reported that, because it should have been reported. Let's see. On the back of the flyer, I listed some resources of people that need to get involved. Of course, it's the police who you're supposed to call first, now that I know. And then depending on the severity, the hospital, and then eventually the Child's Voice in Sioux Falls gets involved. I don't know if y'all ever really familiar with them, but
Yep. Too familiar.
yeah, I'm too now, but like I had no idea what Child's Voice was, and the cops would tell me, and even the providers at the hospital, they're like, Child's Voice is going to contact you, Child's Voice is going to contact you, and you're going to go up there. That's the only thing they ever told me. They didn't tell me the whole process, and that's a really hard process to go through.
Yep.
So education to all students and whichever parents would like, having a system in place for kids to feel safe and be able to report abuse. And also in the questionnaire, I'd ask you if you thought the kids should have a place that's safe at school or out in town to be able to report anonymously. In regard to the anonymous part, I was referring more to them being able to report it themselves and not be seen by all their classmates or friends or even family members, because everybody here in town is related to someone, or, you know, so everybody's nosy. So if there was an area in the school, the staff would know if there was a kid in there that they would need assistance, or like having QR codes in the bathrooms or something so they could scan it and like text a teacher or counselor. And also like maybe getting the Boys and Girls Club involved as well, because a lot of these kids go there after school and for several hours. Community resources, of course, you guys are the biggest community resource for this, because you have like the school counselors, all the teachers here. You could also have churches, or actually anyone that's willing to advocate for a child. And then the overall goal is to spread awareness about abuse so kids can have a voice and be heard. But we also need kids to know what abuse is versus discipline, so they don't call cops on their parents every time they get in trouble, because they'll probably get called a crook. And this would be an overall community goal, much like we have in place for the Strengthening Our Community, the SOC program. We could try to get in contact with like Lavender Lane or Apparel Works and have like t-shirts made, and the proceeds go to help those that may be displaced due to abuse, kind of like Child's Voice does, and have like a little go bag with like their hygiene kit and a change of clothes and a blanket. Because like Child's Voice is great and to do that, but like with my kids, it was a week before we went there. So if we had something like in the community for these kids, rather than waiting and going 2 hours away to get something like that, I think that would help. And so like with those t-shirts, it could help spread awareness. For the interventions, like for this to be educated in the school, like short presentations, like 10 to 15 minutes by the teachers on a monthly basis, and keeping them short and simple. Start with the basics and build from there. Most kids probably just think physical abuse is the only form of abuse, so you could start from there and then move on to the mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. And I picked the teachers doing it because the kids already know their teachers and they trust them, rather than having someone outside of the classroom come in and they're like, I'm not listening to this person, I don't know them, you know. And if they did want to report something, they'd feel more comfortable going to their teacher, which I'm sure teachers hear a lot of stuff anyway. Just overall, just awareness of the situation and get the kids talking. During this, you want to encourage the kids to ask questions each time and let them know they can talk about it at any time they want to or need to, and they don't have to wait for these mini sessions to do it. You could also, for the resources, you guys, again, do you still have a school resource officer? Like he could be another resource. And like I said earlier, this is a small community, so everybody knows everyone, and it makes for closer relationships with these students. Like I graduated from a huge school, like my graduating class was like 300 or something, so like I didn't get this close with my teachers, so like we never talked to our teachers. But I feel like with this being a smaller school, even as huge as it is,
it's small compared to others.
Yeah, but I mean, they literally watch these kids grow, and they stay close with them. Like Jill was both my kids' preschool teachers, and every time she sees them, she still gets hugs and everything. So I mean, that's good for the kids. But with the resources, also the Boys and Girls Club again, because the kids go there and they're really comfortable with the staff over there, because well, they just get to play games over there, so they don't get too much trouble over there yet. Implemented just classroom instruction monthly. That way it doesn't disrupt the lesson plans or anything. And the t-shirts to spread awareness, the flyers, those could be spread out throughout town at businesses if they didn't mind. And if there was a demand for parents who wanted more education, we could set up a date and time for a presentation over everything instead of all the little mini sessions. And like kind of like how they have when you're going out of town, that see something, say something. You could maybe do one of those too. To evaluate it like a year later to see if it was worth it, you could send out like a survey monkey to all the teachers to see if they thought those mini sessions were effective, or if kids came to them afterwards and if you thought it helped.
Absolutely.
But that's all I got.
That's good.
Yeah.
I try to keep it.
Well, it looks like you've done a lot of work on this, and it sounds like it's definitely a passion for you. You know, so that's, yeah, tell us what we need to do, how we wanna do this, you know, quite obviously, you know, as big of a boulder you have, the key is to get it moving, and once you get it moving, then that's the battle. Once you get it moving, then it's easier to move, so talk to us, tell us what you're needing from us, you know, how do we wanna implement it, timelines, that type of thing.
Okay. Well, like I said, just like a monthly,
Yeah.
you just have to come up with like some kind of presentations to do, or like a video, or,
You know, I know teachers do class meetings,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I hear what you're saying in regards to confidentiality, because, you know, people are scared. You know, that's probably one of the biggest things that prevents things from getting done, and you know, and some families are very secretive, you know, kids are scared and they're intimidated, so.
Yeah.
I have not been exposed to that abuse in my life like some have. I can't imagine, you know.
well, I've even, like, I think I see the more severe end of it at the hospital. Like, I've seen babies with cigarette burns
Right.
and shaken baby, and
Yeah.
just, I saw like a 20-pound kid that should have been 40 or 50 pounds,
Right.
and in
Yeah.
a diaper at 6 years old, and
Just stuff.
yeah, I mean, just really terrible stuff. I did not include CPS in my presentation because they, from my experience plus experience from people that I've talked to, they do not do much help.
Well, it's hard, you know, I think they're overwhelmed, just like
Yes.
a lot of places are, you know.
But like a lot of the times they'll put a kid back in the situation
Yeah.
less than 24 hours after the incident, so.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely roadblocks that prevent things from happening that maybe probably should, and, you know, they're all over the place, you know. You know, you're dealing with a lot of different agencies, you know, you take the agencies that are in this area, you're not only dealing with state social services, but you're also dealing with the tribe. You know, so there's different agencies that do things a little bit differently, and sometimes they're not on the same page for whatever reason, you know, so that makes things a little bit more complicated, you know. My previous experience as a principal was not on a reservation or close to a reservation, so when I had to deal with some of the stuff, and I had it when I was at Bonham, but, you know, I never dealt with, I didn't have to deal with tribal DSS, I was always just a state DSS, so, you know, that type of thing, but, I saw it there too.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not to the extreme, maybe we see it here sometimes, but, we had some of the same challenges and frustrations everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, but, yeah, I think that the key, and there's also the family stigma, there, you know, there's, you know, I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that females are probably the ones that are getting abused by the husband more than the female abusing the husband, let's be honest. And females are scared.
Yeah.
You know, and they will do whatever they need to do to protect their kids. Even if it's to not tell people, just because they're afraid what might happen if it doesn't get followed through, and then they get put back in there, you know, if my wife tells somebody that I was abusing them, but then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you gotta go back into that house with me, that's scary. Cause now if I was mad, I may even be madder.
Yeah.
So I'm married to a school counselor too, so just like Shar, and, yeah, so I kind of experienced it too, but, I've learned a lot here for the year and a half, what I've been exposed to, not that I haven't been ever exposed to it, but, I grew up in a household where there was none of that, and I grew up pretty much in an area where it's there. Now, I used to have a deputy sheriff live next to me, and he probably shared more with me than I needed to know, but he kept saying, tell you what, the spousal abuse, female spousal abuse statewide is horrible, to the point where scary. He would tell me he would get in Bottom County 10 to 15 calls a weekend. You know, and then the kids are living in this. I don't have to tell you.
No.
According to you, you know exactly. So whatever we can do to help, we will do. Don't you agree, Shar?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if kids are not in a good place at home, they're not gonna be in a good place here, and when they're not in a good place here, it's just not good. You know, and we want this to be a safe place too.
Yeah, one of the research papers I looked at said that like kids that are overstimulated with like abuse and stuff at home, it tends to give them like long-term health issues and mental health issues, and they do worse in school, and it's just not good overall.
I was watching the news. I get up early, so I was watching Kelloland because it comes on at 4:30. Supposedly there must have been somebody who must have grabbed a kid a couple days ago in Sioux Falls.
I saw that, yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
The thing that caught me is they caught the guy right away, and he didn't get away with this kid. So the kid was just kind of grabbed and kind of carried a little bit. Is that about right?
Yes, that's what I got.
So then the news announcer says, but the child is okay. And my first thought was, no, they're not okay, because I don't care who you are, when you get grabbed by a stranger and get carried, even if it's a few feet, that's trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So physically, or what you think,
Thank goodness they're back with their parents.
right?
But yeah, they're
But that will never probably ever leave her.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that scary?
It is.
You know, and
Well, Jack being going through what he's went through, he's constantly bringing it up.
right, yeah, you know.
I was
it's-
hoping he was young enough he would forget it, but it's right
No,
there.
Because, yeah, so that's, you know, so yeah, we're here to help.
Okay.
We will do what we can do to help, just because it's part of our responsibility.
I definitely want to get this going,
Okay,
but this is my last week of school this semester, and the next semester is my last semester.
well, that's
So,
good, right?
Yeah.
So yes, but I do want to start working on this.
So where,
Is it-
you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but where did you go to school? Where
I'm
you
at
go?
Dakota Wesleyan right now.
Yeah, but where did you go to high school? You said?
Oh, Wright County High School, it's in Tennessee.
Oh, okay, so
I'm not from here.
you're not from, I could tell you maybe had a little bit of a southern accent, right? That's okay.
I haven't lived there for like 20 years, so
Yeah.
it's not as bad as my sister's.
So, so yeah, but, yeah, like I said, I was a DW Tiger back in the day, but, I graduated in '87.
Kindergarten.
So, but yeah, so keep in touch with us, keep
I will.
in touch with Char, let us know, you know, we wanna roll it out, but we wanna make sure we're ready to go and roll it out so that we have good information for our teachers, so that they have some direction too, and, you know, and if we even have to have you maybe come in and meet with them and visit with them, I can bring them in, you can talk to them as a group too, just to kind of share your vision and go from there.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Thank you for meeting with me today.
Yeah, you
Yes.
got no problem. Yeah, kinda snowy out.
Oh,